Hi everyone, welcome to our second Improve Your English session. My name's Alex, I'm from the OET education team. Hello to those joining me live in the chat box. Feel free to say hello and introduce yourselves. Today's session is all about how to improve your vocabulary. So we'll get started straight away because we have a bit to get through. However, let me just share my screen 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, okay. But I want to start with a question about the Improve Your English challenge before we get into the vocabulary part of today. So let me know in the chat box, how did you go with week 1? So this is the start of week 2. Week 1's activities, the grammar boosters, the vocab boosters, the workplace English lessons are all up on the website from week 1. How did you go? And you've got 4 options here. A, I didn't do anything yet. B, I wrote my goals and did a little. C, I achieved most of my goals. Or D, I am a legend. I did everything, wrote my goals, did my work, reflected. How did we go? Mixed bag. Well done, Cha-Cha. You wrote some goals and did a little. That is definitely better than nothing. And if you're new to the challenge, by the way, don't worry, you can watch last week's live stream on our Facebook or YouTube channels, or you can just jump in and begin whenever you want. I'll share some links later on. Hi, Osama, your first time. Who's that? Rayhan has chosen D, legend. Well done. Maybe you can share some tips with us. Okay, quite a few people with B wrote some goals. That's good. So this week, maybe you can turn it around a little bit, write your goals, dedicate a little bit of time each day to working on grammar or vocab or whatever. And at the end of the week, be sure to look back, see what you did, think about what you can do better next time. Okay, welcome for those who are here for the first time. Don't worry, you haven't really missed anything. Each week, we're going to focus on a particular skill. So in today's session, it's all about vocab, and I'm going to go through 3 key questions about vocabulary. We'll look at dealing with unknown words on test day and really just dealing with unknown words any day. What are some strategies that you can use if you're reading and you don't know a word? And at the end of the session, we will do our quiz. All right. So let's begin with 3 key vocabulary questions that we're going to cover today. So the first one is why. It's a pretty obvious question, but I'm going to talk about why it's important for you to build vocabulary. We will cover what vocabulary do I need to know? And there are a couple of different areas of vocabulary to work on. And perhaps most importantly, how do we learn new vocab? How do we find it? How do we remember? And I'm going to ask you questions through the session as well and ask for your input and your advice because you guys are the experts as well in this field. So let's start with why it's important to build vocab. And I'm going to look at this in two ways, which are comprehension, so understanding, and then communication, so output and interaction as well. And my first question to you is this. I want you to imagine you have a book or a newspaper article or an OET reading, maybe part C. To understand a text, so to really understand the meaning, what percentage of words do you need to know? Again, this is based on lots of different experts' opinions. But what do you think? If you have a text, what percentage of words do you need to know? A, 65 to 68%, B, 77 to 80%, or C, 95 to 98? What do you think? Got some A's, C's. Anne says B, Ritzel says B. Karthika A. Amada, for me, it's C. Okay, quite a variety. And of course, there are levels here of understanding, but you may be surprised to know, experts tend to agree that you need to know 95 to 98% of the language in a text to be able to really comprehend it. So 95 to 98, quite a huge number, maybe a surprisingly big number, but that's what language experts say based on their research. So it looks like this. If you think of a reading, the blue part should be words that you know, words that you're familiar with, words that you recognize, and the green part, this tiny little bit, are words that you don't know. So experts suggest you need to know a lot of words in order to understand a text or to fully comprehend a text. So it looks a little bit scary, but I'll allay your fears in a moment. It's not as scary as it looks, really. But just to come back to that, why do we need to learn vocab, the comprehension and the communication aspect? When it comes to a language test, for instance, it's pretty obvious, right, that when it comes to reading and listening, the more vocab you know and the faster you recognize that vocab as well. If you can read it and automatically recognize it, if you can hear it and automatically recognize it, then the more you're going to understand, the faster you're going to be at reading, for instance. So that's all about the input, the understanding. And of course, it works the other way. Waleed says, do we need to memorize the whole dictionary? Thankfully not. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, but also when it comes to the output, your writing and your speaking, the way you communicate, the way you interact, of course, you don't need to deliver the dictionary to somebody, but the more words you know, the more accurate, the more precise, the more flexible you can be with communication. So somebody else will be able to understand you more easily. So that's, I guess, answering the first question. Why do we need to build vocab in another language? It increases the amount that you can comprehend. It improves your communication. I think we can all agree it's worth doing. For the OET perspective, as you would know, in addition to reading and listening, there's writing and speaking, and both the criteria, of course, refer to vocabulary in some aspect. So for writing, there's a language criterion, and for speaking, appropriateness of language and resources of grammar and expression. They catch the vocab aspect in there. I'm not going to talk about the criteria. There are plenty of live classes on the channel that go into that, but just want to point out that this is another reason why building vocab is part of the Improve Your English Challenge. Okay, so what do we need to know? Do I need to memorize the whole dictionary? No. I'm going to talk about 3 different types of vocab, kind of 3 different buckets that vocabulary falls into. Okay, the first one is general vocabulary. Okay, so this is everyday stuff, things that you say all the time, you read all the time, you hear all the time, the most common words in English, most frequent words in English. The second one, and this is relevant particularly when getting ready for a test like OET, is academic vocab. And working in the medical field, this is something that in the healthcare field, rather, you will be reading and hearing things related to academic subjects. So academic vocab is another bucket that you need to fill up. And the third one, I'm going to call it other, but we can get a little bit more specific. So general, academic, and other. Now, when it comes to general vocab, there are a few word lists. Have you ever seen some of them? Let me know in the chat box. Have you ever seen a list of general vocabulary in English? There's quite a few around. So there used to be one called the General Service List, and it's been updated. There's one now called the New General Service List. And this is a list of 2,801 words. These are the most common words that you'll encounter in English. Includes things like the and and it, like really, really simple language, and goes up to 2,800. By the way, there are, like maybe 600,000 words in English, but to be able to communicate and comprehend, you don't need all of them. But definitely the general service list is good to know, and I would imagine most of you already know it anyway. Academic vocab, there are also some lists, and the one that I'll mention and share with you later is called the New Academic Word List. So this is a companion to the general word list, and it's 963 words, which are not included in the NGSL, not in this one. So separate to that, and this is based on a big number of academic readings. What are the words that appear most commonly? So 2,800 words, then 963 words. Again, you probably know most of them already. And then we have other vocab. And this is stuff which is not on those two lists. So it could be topic-specific language. If you're reading about COVID, for example, you're going to see a lot of vocabulary which doesn't exist on the general list, doesn't exist on the academic list, but you might know it from the medical world or from reading about COVID a lot. If you're doing a reading about animals, then the vocabulary will be specific to animals. Okay, so this is topic specific, less common, and also just off-list stuff. So it could even be people's names or the name of a disease, and it could be words beyond that most common 2,800 number. Now, when you do a reading or a listening, it's more like this. General vocab makes up the huge majority of words in a text. So you're not going to get like tiny amount of general vocab, huge amount of academic. There's always majority of general vocab. And I'll show you what that looks like in terms of an OET reading. So OET Part C, this is one of the sample tests. If we break down that vocabulary, and actually this is an average of a few tests, it looks like this. So the big light blue section, you can probably guess, is that general or academic or specific? This big blue section here, what do you reckon? General vocab, academic vocab, or topic specific? This particular reading is all about sleep deprivation. Well done, some of you guessed. So the majority of the words come from the general service list, the new general service list, that 2,800 words. The green here, this is vocab from the new academic word list. It's about 4%. So let's say about 90%, about 4%, and the rest is other, in this case, quite topic-specific language. So some examples, vocab from this particular reading from the general list, things like but, it, sleep, and increased. Those are words from the general list. From the academic list, we've got receptors, inducing, molecules, so a little bit higher, not higher level, but more academic vocab. And other, from this sleep reading, we've got adenosine. Sorry, I'm not sure about my pronunciation. Adenosine, is that right? Glucose, diabetic. So you can see very specific language related to this particular text here. And that's how you'll see a lot of academic texts broken up in that same way. About 90% just general words, about 4-5% academic words, and about 4-5% the other words. So if you know all of the general words and all of the academic words from those lists, you're covering about 95% of the text. Therefore, you can understand. And if there are words you don't know, you can try to guess, which I'll talk about later. So yes, you need to understand a lot of words in the text, but it's not as scary as it sounds. Maybe that's a positive thing to come out of this lesson. However, I still recommend improving and building your vocab all the time. So we've talked about why you need it, what sort of language you need to build, so general, academic, topic specific. Most important one now is how. How do I learn new vocabulary? I'm going to give you some tips and share some tools. And I want to start with a question for you. How do you learn new vocabulary? And I've given you some options, but you can also type in the chat box. How do you learn new vocab? So A, I just keep a list of new words? B, I use flashcards? Or C, something else? So tell me in the chat, how are you learning new vocabulary? All right, a couple of A's, a list. So do you keep a list on your phone or do you write it into a book? Waleed and Safala and Sassy, you guys all doing A? Lots of people doing A. It's good. Samaresh as well. Dory learns by reading and listening to Sky News. Chanaguda. Okay. All right, so the majority of people are writing A. I keep a list of new words. So that's great. So how often do you read that list? When you write the words, do you go back and look at it every day, every week? Never? Great. Fatima says, I read the text and find new words and review them. Eva says, I search for interesting other words for a simple word. That's good. So you're looking for synonyms. Googling new words for Julie. Waleed, never review them. Okay, so I guess that's my point. A is great. B is great. But you really have to review. You have to go back and read them, practice over and over. Rehan reviews every night before sleep. Fantastic. Okay, very good. And lots of people are saying that you're reading, which is a really, really good way to build up vocab as well. Okay, ABC News, very good. Okay. So I'll talk about learning new vocab. I'm going to give it a little bit of theory about it, but yeah, it's fairly simple, and I think you are all on the right track. This is a book that I'm referring to here by Stuart Webb and Paul Nation, all about how vocabulary is learned in a second language. So I'll just give them credit for these ideas that I'm going to put forward. And they talk about a few aspects of vocabulary learning, but in particular, repetition and attention. So giving attention, deliberate attention to vocabulary. And so the first thing that they mention here is noticing. And this is basically like you guys are saying, I read something and I grab some words out of there that I don't know. Or I find a new word, I look it up in the dictionary and I write it in my book. Or I find a word, I don't know what it means, I ask my teacher. So that's just noticing, like taking the word from wherever it lives and investigating it a little bit, noticing that I don't know it yet and trying to find out. So that's kind of writing it down, making the flashcards, step one. And step two, I think, is the one that we need to work on, retrieval. And this is that repetitive revisiting of the vocab. So, okay, I've got it, I got the meaning, I wrote it in my book, but now I need to test myself. I need to recall, like take the meaning or take the word from the back of my mind and keep bringing it to the front. So you might each day flick through your flashcards. Perhaps one side has the word, the other side has the definition or the translation in your language, and you're testing yourself. It's so simple, just a set of flashcards, but super effective. And without it, you're probably going to lose that word. You know, if you don't review after a day or 2 days, it'll disappear from your memory. So notice the word, but then retrieve, practice, recall all the time. The third step that Nation and Webb mention is varied encounters. And this is meeting that word in different places. So I might have found a word in the OET reading, and rather than just go back and do the same reading over and over, I want to find that word in another place. So I did a reading about sleep. Maybe I'll Google sleep disorders, or I'll listen to a podcast about a sleep disorder, or I'll find a TED talk. And as people are speaking or I'm reading, hopefully I'll meet these words again and again. And that strengthens your memory. That helps you to learn and remember the words. So varied encounters, and related to that is varied use. So you have your list of words, have your flashcards. Maybe you're trying to find them out on the internet somewhere or in your books. You're reading, you're listening, but varied use is production. So you're writing that word in a sentence. You're saying that word out loud in conversation maybe, or just practicing by yourself in a variety of different contexts. Okay, so not just one sentence and that's it. You want to try to use it again and again. So imagine if you have 200 words in your book or in your flashcards, but if you never say that word or those words out loud, they won't accidentally come out of your mouth. You have to work at it. So practice writing the words in sentences, practice saying them out loud as well. So these are the 4 things to think about with your vocab. And for everyone who said, I'm making a list, that's fantastic. But I want you to go now to step 2, retrieval. So practice using them, and also the varied encounters and varied use. I'll just put those examples up here that I mentioned. So for noticing, for example, how can I notice words? For example, read an article, just highlight 10 new words or write them into your book or read them into your phone. To practice retrieval, create your own flashcards and as I said, definitions on the front, word on the back. You can do this with some digital tools as well, or just pen and paper. Varied encounters, listen to a podcast, watch a TED Talk on the same topic. So whatever you read about, try to listen and read about the same thing elsewhere. Varied use, practice using it. Summarize the article in your own words, create personal sentences with new words and things like that. Plenty that you can do, but those are some really simple things, I think, to get started. I'm going to share with you a couple of useful tools, and I'll put the links in here as well. As I'm doing this, if you've got some ideas for websites that you like or apps or things that you use to build vocab, please share. Let me know in the chat box. So the first one, of course, I'm going to talk about the Improve Your English section, and we have a whole section about vocab boosters. And in there, you'll find activities like these ones, and they are designed to help you with that retrieval and noticing stage. So you'll see the word, you might match it up to a meaning, and then in the next activity, you have to write it into a sentence. So you're meeting the word a few times and trying to recall or retrieve the definition. I'll share this in a moment, but you'll be able to find the website if you go to the prepare section of the OET website. Another really useful tool is Quizlet. Have you ever used Quizlet? I think probably most of you, if you've been in a language class, your teacher has probably introduced this to you. It's a really cool website and app. It's all about vocab building. You can find ready-made sets of words, and that's all through games like matching and fill the gap and flip the card. Very fun, very easy to use. So I recommend using Quizlet as well. And if possible, make your own Quizlet sets. Feel free to share in our group. And one final one is a website called eapfoundation.com. And this is a good one where you can take a text. So here it's very small, but here I took a bit of an OET reading and put it into their new academic word list highlighter and gap fill. So it's paste text and click a button, and it will show you the words which come from the new academic word list, and you can create a gap fill for yourself. So you'll have the list of words, which is up the top here, and the text here with the missing words, and you can practice writing them into the right place. So eapfoundation.com. In fact, you can find all the word lists on here as well. I might just pop them in the chat box now while it's fresh. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to paste in here the OET website. And EAP Foundation website. Let's see. as well as a website where you can find those word lists that I mentioned, the new general service lists and the new academic word lists. There we go. And Quizlet. There we go. Okay. There we go. So Waleed's asking for a vocabulary list. So if you go, Waleed, to the EAP Foundation site, you'll find a bunch of word lists on there, including the 2 that I mentioned today. Plus, there's also word lists related to medicine and related to nursing. So have a look at that website. That will help you. All right, what's the time here? Okay. So before we do our week 2 quiz, I just want to talk about one final thing related to vocabulary, which is dealing with unknown vocab. So I'm thinking here where you don't have access to your phone or your teacher and you're stuck with a word and you have to try to imagine the meaning of the word. And all the words we're going to use today are not real words, not English words, so you can't Google them. I just want to give you some ideas for strategies. Okay, so look at this sentence here. As the research subjects grew tired, their concentration dwipped. Okay, so dwipped is not a real word in English, but if you use the context of this sentence, you can probably guess pretty close to what this word means or should mean. As the research subjects, the people grew tired, their concentration dwipped. So what do you think that word means? Can you have a guess? Cha-Cha says dropped. All right, thank you, Cha-Cha. Why do you think that? And Pragya says decrease. Madar says increase. Okay. Sarah says reduce. Waleed shouted, declined. Yeah. So all of those saying like go down, dropped. Yes, you're correct. So this is not a real word, but probably the ED suggests that it's a verb, right? And the position in the sentence suggests it's a verb. And also the context here, the people became tired. So I can just imagine as I get tired, my concentration doesn't go up, my concentration goes down. So even though I don't know this word, even though this word does not exist in English, you can guess the meaning from the context around it. And you're right, it doesn't have a meaning really, but that's what I was thinking, that their concentration dropped or fell. Good guess. Okay, so that's one strategy for dealing with unknown vocab. You can also use punctuation in a sentence. So look at this sentence. It is thought that the virus originated in the Quelpie, a small rodent native to southern Australia. What is a Quelpie? It is thought that the virus originated in the Quelpie, a small rodent native to southern Australia. Again, not a real word, but you can make a guess. What is a Quelpie? Okay, so a few people saying a place. Key here would be this word, if anyone knows what it is, a rodent. And also this word native. Okay. Yeah, Sarah says a small rodent. So very good. And Sarah says a rodent is an animal. That's right. So a rodent is like a rat or a mouse. Okay, but even if we don't know that word, native to Southern Australia, native to an area, should suggest to you that it's an animal or it's a plant. Okay, so in this case, rodent is an animal. And this comma here, it originated in the Quelpie, comma, a small rodent native to Southern Australia. That comma here is showing me the next part of this sentence is giving me information about Quelpie. So Quelpie, comma, a small rodent native to Southern Australia. What is a Quelpie? A Quelpie is a small rodent native to Southern Australia. So it's a small animal which lives in Southern Australia. Again, not a real word. Yeah, Sharia, so it's a name of a rodent, exactly. So not a place in this case. Let's do another one with punctuation. This time, rather than comma, we've got brackets. Okay, the pilfo, brackets, also known as the grub fish, became extinct in the early 80s. So the brackets are giving me the definition. What is a pilfo? What is the pilfo? Good, May. Yeah, it's a grub fish. Very good, Remy. It's a fish. Yeah, I don't know what a grub fish is. Again, not a real word. But the pilfo, brackets, also known as blah, 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 that tells me what this word is. And often, even an academic text may give you information like that. Very good. Okay, so use the context, use punctuation. Another thing you can do to guess the meaning is use the linking words, use the connecting words, okay, because they sometimes show you similarity or contrast. Okay, for example, despite studying for months, he blurted his exams. Despite studying for months, he blurted his exams. What is that? Blurted. Have a guess. Beautiful. Yeah, lots of people saying he failed. Very good. Messed up. Yeah. So not good, because we know that because of the linking word despite. It's contrast linker. So he studied for months and months. He worked really hard, but something happened. So it doesn't make sense, but he did really well. No, he failed. He did badly. He messed up his exams. Okay, and one other thing you can do is use your knowledge of words. So here, the dog's coat was disheveled as soon as it arrived at the vet clinic. The dog's coat was disheveled as soon as it arrived at the vet clinic. What happened to the dog's coat, the dog's fur? Hopefully some vets here. Disheveled, not a real word, but can you guess what it means? The dog's coat was disheveled. Okay, Cha-Cha says removed. Yeah, maybe cut, shaved. Why do you think that? Sarah says maybe fell off, took off. Why do you think that? And you're right. Something removed, something off. Very good. So you're probably guessing that because of this prefix D. So D means off or out. That's right. So you're having a guess here, and that's fine. It's not a real word. They was maybe taken off, taken out, cut, removed. Yeah, exactly. And that's using your knowledge of words. So using prefixes like d or dis or re, and using suffixes as well, where you can guess it's a noun or a verb. In this case, the ed suggests that it's a verb, it's a participle. Okay. So, quick quiz for you. Oh, sorry, can't hear me. Is that better? Okay, let me try my microphone. Okay, how's the audio now? Is that better? Okay, and you're all guessing very well. Yeah. So after the accident, the hospital was overwhelmed by patients. Medical supplies were at an alarming pace. Yeah, most of you guessed right. Used up. So distributed, depleted. Good guess. Okay. Final one, and then we're going to play our proper quiz. Guess the meaning of the word in bold. Although she knows squibble, now spoken by only a handful of locals, she did not wish to participate in the study. So is squibble a sport, a language, or a dance? Although she knows squibble, now spoken by only a handful of locals, she did not wish to participate. It's a pretty easy one. Now spoken by only a handful of locals. There we go. Fantastic. I think majority got that one. A language, yeah. And big clue there with the word spoken. Now spoken by only a handful of locals. That's information about the word squibble. Okay, good job. Please don't Google those words. They're all just imaginary, just strategy practice. And just to recap, some language learning tips for you. Here are 6 of them. One is to read widely and listen widely too. So try to get a lot of input, particularly as you're preparing for your test. Second one is keep track of new vocab, write it down, say it into your phone, use Quizlet, use a digital tool, or just use a pen and paper. create flashcards, a really excellent way to get that repeated exposure to the vocab. Personalize the vocab where you can. Make your own sentences. Put it into new contexts. Have that varied use as well as varied exposure. Review often, every day if you can, or every couple of days. And when you do meet words that you don't know, in a test situation or a situation where you don't have access to your dictionary, use those strategies. Use the context, use the punctuation, use the linking words, use your knowledge of word forms, and do your best to have a wild guess. All right, so let's play our game. If you were here last week, you'll remember that we played a Kahoot. And to do this, you need to use another browser. So if you have your phone next to you, just open a browser in your phone. If you're on the computer, if you're on your phone, you can open another browser or open another browser on your computer because you're going to go to a different website. Okay, and we're playing Kahoot. Open a browser window on your phone or your computer and go to this website, www.kahoot.it. I'm going to paste it into the chat box too. All right. And we're going to play a quiz with 8 questions. And these questions come from Improve Your English Week 2, I think a little bit of week 1. We're going to do some grammar, some vocabulary, and we will hopefully have a winner at the end of it. So Kahoot.it. Let me just get it started here. Okay, and if you have trouble with the other browser, don't worry, I will share the screen and you can just play along in the chat box. Yes, there is also a Kahoot app, so feel free to use that if you prefer. And I'm going to share a pin with you. 1 second. Let me turn the volume down a bit. All right, so on your screen now, you can see the website, which is kahoot.it. When you get to the website, it asks you for a PIN, and the PIN is on the screen now, 850-6541. So type that PIN in, 850-6541. You'll have to choose a random name. There we go. Wonder Sloth. I love that name. Good luck. Purple Horse. Rapid Yak. That's it. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to join. Now, if you did some work on the Improve Your English site during the week, this should be pretty easy. If not, you might surprise yourself. All right. So keep joining. And let's see, we've got 8 questions. Going to be some passive voice, some phrasal verbs, some anatomy, vocabulary. All right. And if you're just on your phone, can't change the browser, just watch the screen. The answers will come up here as well. I'm just going to remove myself. Can you let me know if you can still hear me if I'm not on the screen? Okay, hard to know. All righty. A few more seconds. Okay, thank you, Naveen and Sarah. That's a bit annoying. Doesn't matter though. I'll stay on the screen. All right. Are we ready? No? Okay. I'll wait a few more seconds. All right. I'm going to type in the code into the chat box, and you can still join a little bit late. So let's get started. Okay. No audio? Oh. How's that? Can you hear me? I wonder why that's happening today. All right, let's begin. Good luck, everyone. First question. Very good. If you're new to the game, push the button on your screen, red, blue, yellow, or green, or play along in the chat box. Okie dokie. Who have we got? Red Impala, a very good start. Congratulations. Question number 2. Which word means towards the surface? Five seconds. 2 seconds. Superficial, well done, 53 of you. Power Griffin takes the lead. Good job in the chat box. Okay, phrasal verb. Five seconds. Oh, very good. Flare up. Suddenly return, become painful again. My sore tooth flared up again. Purple horse. Question 4, halfway. Fill the gap. She will usually come up, come out, come over, come to as soon as the seizure ends. Ooh, come to. Gee, not many got that. Come to, regain consciousness. Awesome rabbit. Good job. 5, fill the gap. The whole family has come with the flu. Ooh, very good. Come down with the flu. So become ill with something. Come down with it. Purple horse, you are really doing well. Number 6. Passive voice. One of these sentences is correct. Good job. The side effects should be reported. There's a passive voice lesson up this week. Purple horse, smart dolphin, eager newt out in front. Complete the sentence. Bit of extra time here. Beautiful. She was taken. Passive in the past. Okay, we have one more question, I think. Purple horse, eager newt, melodic rabbit. Final question. Good luck. Put the question in order this time. You'll need to drag things around. That's it. 10 seconds. Put them in the right order. Click submit. 3 seconds. Ooh, okay, this is the correct order. How long has she had the rash? Let's see. Who are the winners? Friendly Rabbit, congratulations. Third place. Golden Yak, second. Number one, Purple Horse, congratulations. Well done. You deserve that. You were winning most of the time. 6,037 points. Well done. And well done to everybody else. Pretty good effort. However, I want to recommend to you going to the Improve Your English section on OET. There's a lesson all about phrasal verbs. So those things like come down with, flare up, get over. There are 10 really useful phrasal verbs in the vocab section. I think it's for week 2. So please make sure you have a look at that. In fact, I'll try and share the link right now, just for a little extra homework today. Okay. All right, so I just put in the chat box the link that will take you to the phrasal verb lesson. So have a look at that. I think that will be useful. Phrasal verbs so common in spoken English, of course. And when you're doing your role plays in OET, you might use them or hear them, particularly from the interlocutor. I'm going to just share a couple of things with you before we wrap up today. So every week, in fact, every day this week, we have live lessons here on Facebook and YouTube on the OET channel. So if you want to prepare for your test with us, make sure you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you're following if you're on Facebook so that you get notified when we go live. This week, these are our sessions. So tomorrow we've got language for writing with WLES. Wednesday, we've got a live class with CELT, how to make the most of your 15 minutes in reading part A. Thursday is all about speaking appropriateness with SLC, and Friday is the live mock speaking test with our friends at Swoosh. Grab a screenshot if you like. Make sure you catch those sessions. They're really useful. They're totally free and an excellent way to prepare. If you miss the live session, no worries. You can catch up with the recording, which will be saved in our Facebook group. For me, for the sessions coming up, so we did last week the introductory session. This week was all about vocab. Next week, we will be looking at reading together. So same kind of thing. We'll learn some strategies and some tips, and we'll play a game based on the Improve Your English lessons for this week and next. And so during the week, just make sure you set your goals for Improve Your English. You can download your free study planner from the website. Each week, write your goals. At the end of the week, reflect on your goals and think about what you did well, what you can do better. Take action on your goals, and be sure to share and reflect with us connect with us in the Facebook group for Improve Your English. I'll just stay online. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to answer a couple of them. Elham says, if you can send the previous websites. Yes, I will do that. What have we got here? So I'm going to share the websites where you can get those word lists. So that was EAP Foundation. And there's also the homepage for the new general service list and the new academic word list to have a look at. I don't want to recommend, downloading the list and learning it that way, but maybe it's interesting to see and just to check which words you already know. Quizlet was the other one that I mentioned, and I'll share the OET websites again as well. So that's the Improve Your English site, and then the Vocab Booster site as well. Lots of links. All right, thank you. So if you have any questions about vocab or Improve Your English, let me know. Otherwise, almost time for dinner here. Cheetah says, does this website suit IELTS as well? Yeah, definitely the grammar, the vocab will be relevant to you, Cheetah. And our live classes, particularly these Improve Your English classes, are all about improving your language for the test, yes, but for the workplace and for life. So I think you'll find it useful as well. Mutasim says, what time is the streaming? I didn't include that, Mutasim, because it's going to be different wherever you are in the world. But if you check our Facebook event section and have a look at our YouTube regularly, you'll see the time in your local local time zone. Mosa says, do I have a file that contains those words? So you'll find those lists on the websites that I shared, EAP Foundation, and the other one, the sort of homepage for the researchers who made the lists. Oh, sorry, are those websites suitable for IELTS as well? Yes, definitely. What time is the class tomorrow? Just check your Facebook. It will show you in your time zone there. All right, thanks, Vandana. Ami says the exam will be tough. Well, if you're prepared well, then no. We have free practice tests on the OET website, of course. Go and check them out. And you can take the sample tests in the computer format as well. So be sure to do that. Kindly provide some common phrasal verbs used in reading part C. What I would recommend, Silpa, is have a look at the sample test yourself and identify the phrasal verbs in there. So as I was looking at some today, I saw some phrasal verbs popping up. I don't think there's a list of common ones, but you will be able to find some in those sections. And have a look at the phrasal verb lesson that I shared with you as well. Salome says it's better on YouTube. So we're streaming on both, Salome. You can watch on YouTube or on Facebook. So hopefully that suits you. All right. Thank you, everyone. I think we'll wrap it up for today. That's just on time. Thanks for joining me, and I hope that was useful. Please keep in touch in the Improve Your English Facebook group. Download your study planner, and I will see you same time next Monday. And be sure to check out our other live streams during the week this week. Take care and study hard. See you soon. Bye.